Hey, Girl Gang, this is Amber Vargas, founder of Girl Pursuit. This is now episode 6 of season 2, and I would love to talk to you guys about my insights on how I feel and what my thoughts are on the more you know. Is that something that's a paradox of knowledge? Like how being informed can either paralyze you with anxiety or empower you to take action, right? Like it's such a relevant topic in this age because there's endless information, right? Like there's the doom scrolling, the constant news cycles. And I wanted to dive a little bit deep into how I thought of it and am now trying to analyze how I feel and how I am doing with that. So, going back to being rear ended over a month ago, early November, and how being aware that, now the statistic is it higher for me to get into an accident, right? Like being rear ended, and knowing now that even a little more so than what I did before my family relocated in spring of 2024 down to Orlando area, and knowing that the Interstate 4, I-4, is, I believe, the third deadliest highway, dangerous highway nationally. Like, oh, that's cool. Try to be such a safe driver where you are constantly always putting your seatbelt on because, your vehicle always will put the beep on and the sound, and just making sure that the kids always have their 5-point harness on. And now knowing the statistic of the fact of that I-4 is literally one of the most dangerous highways in the US. And do I take that and do I cripple in anxiety? Do I take that information and do I empower myself with more knowledge that, okay, I have to be more diligent, more aware, hyper focused when I drive? And it's just something that I'm now like, wow. And then, of course, getting hit by a car in my first collision, right? Now it's like, now I have to be even more aware, even more alert, even more diligent, even though that's what we should all be doing anyways. But the unfortunate, the unfortunate thing that happens here in Florida is that there's a higher likely chance of getting into an accident. And I don't know how that makes me feel. Like, I'm always been such a safe driver. I've had some anxious moments, but being in something that really makes me think, like, wait, the more you know, is that better? And I would always say, like, knowledge is power to my children, right? Like, knowledge is something that you can take and always do better with. But knowledge can also make you so much more anxious, so much more paranoid, so much more nervous. And I really don't know how to navigate it. I'm, again, only human. And, like, how quickly, like, can I go back to being, like, having, like, blissful ignorance? I wish I did. I can't. It's like that's the price you pay for being aware, for being knowledgeable. And how, like, everything can be so fragile now, right? Like, and this is the aftermath of that physical accident that happened, and it's now a mental shift where I'm suddenly so much more aware that I wasn't. And it also could be the universe's way, and I've said this before on a previous episode, of, like, stopping and being aware and being grateful of what I have, and not taking things for granted, right? So it opened my eyes, right? The accident opened my eyes of how fragile everything is. I know that how fast life can change, how vulnerable we are as humans, and how much is actually out of our control. And that knowledge is a double edged sword, right? It can make you more prepared and aware, and it also and or also can cripple you with anxiety. It's like you're wrestling with both sides. But because living with the knowledge and not letting it paralyze me shows that I have that core value, that grit in real life in me, that I will let the knowledge sit in my brain and let the knowledge marinate and figure out of the things that I need to do better, be more alert, gutsy to stay informed, and even when ignorance feels safer, I'm still taking that riskier chance, right, of being more knowledgeable in that topic. And then the balance, finding that balance between the awareness and peace and the action and the anxiety that comes along with it. Once again, double-edged sword. And I have now, even with other topics, and that was just an example of what brought up that topic for me to discuss on this episode is it better to know more or is it better to not know more? And this can play off in so many different things in life. I believe for motherhood and postpartum, the more you know, the better it is for you. So you can understand what you're going through. So you can understand, oh, this is how I feel. I feel this because there's an actual something called a hormonal imbalance. There's a chemical shift in me. That is great to know, that when it comes to something like that, ignorance is not bliss, because I was there and it was not pretty. It wasn't fun. It was weird. It was exhausting. It was guilt tripping over and over again. So I wonder if y'all feel that and what you girls can do to get out of the funk, get out of that fog, that nervous moment. What do you do? Do you say a mantra? Do you do breathing exercises? Do you ground yourself? What is it that you do? Because I know I have done and I have been doing, because I'm also now I do mental health therapy after the accident, and I talk through it. And some of the tips are to do some breathing exercises. Hold, deep breath in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4. And it does really help. I never really used to practice breathing exercises before, but it does really help. There we go. Another topic to even talk about, just like breathing itself. We have to pace our breathing, like when you run or walk. I've tried to be a runner. God, that's just not okay. So when I try, and I do, and I recall my husband telling me, like, you got to practice your breathing, control your breathing, and then it will be easier for you. Well, lo and behold, it's so true. Control your breathing and not hype yourself up so much and not get so heightened or nervous or feeling like you can't breathe or find air when you're trying to steady pace run or jog. Then it won't feel so overwhelming or daunting or just such a hurdle, a task to do, like I cannot achieve. Breathing itself, being informed in the knowledge to know how to breathe properly while you're running can be such an astronomical change and shift in mind for that, right? So once again, tying it back into knowledge is power, but it can also be a double-edged sword. I believe in the breathing exercises. That has been amazing. The more I know about it, the more it has given me sense of life, like, oh, it doesn't have to be so harsh. It doesn't have to be so quick and trying to get something done and using all your strength. But it's like you actually have to guide yourself, guide your body, guide your breathing, and you will get it done. It doesn't have to be all or nothing, right? Or it doesn't have to go 0 to 100 as far as your meter inside. So I found that I am finding that to be quite interesting, the more you know. But then we can talk about a topic where You find out about, yep, it's sensitive, y'all. Get ready for it. But I talk about it, and I've talked about it before, but like online predators. And the more you know, the more scarier it is. Holy shit, when I talk about it and think about it. And I was just talking to my husband about watching, binge watched last night actually, a show called Bad Influence. It's on Netflix. Um, it was about the rise and, I don't know if it's necessarily fall, of the girl and her mom that basically exploited her daughter and all these YouTube stars, these kids, these 10, 11, 12-year-old kids back in the early 2000s, or was it 2010, 11, 12, like, so just about 15 years ago or so, or even a decade ago. I'm not really sure. I forget the exact timeline. But that in itself, the more you know, like exploiting, knowing that, and it was proven even on the episodes of like FBI agent being interviewed and saying, you know, a lot of these subscribers, like 80-90% are adult old men, like, that are subscribing to a child's YouTube channel. And I'm going to let y'all just figure that out. Why? Why is a grown-ass creep subscribing and sending gifts to a 10-year-old girl's YouTube page? Yeah. The more you know. Yeah. I'm so scared for my children, and as far as that, and I've talked about this before, and I will dive again into it, sure. I don't know how to go about it with social media. Just exposure to the internet. And I've said this to my son too, who is 7.5, and learning how to navigate and type, and we've been practicing, and I tell him about the World Wide Web and how the internet is an amazing place. It's endless amounts, bountifuls of information, but there's also a dark side, and a side that you will not comprehend because your brain is not big enough to comprehend it right now. And as you grow, you'll understand why I'm telling you this the way I'm telling you it. So giving you access to something that is free, and there's beautiful knowledge out there. Of course there is. Yes, there is. I'm not here to just always talk about the negative, right? About it all, but I have to be raw and real. Like, that's like the whole basis, the whole motto, the whole reason why I do this, why I share my views and values on this podcast, The Girl Pursuit. And if I'm not gutsy enough to talk about it, who else would be? That's how I see it. I'm sure there's a lot of others out there, but I'm me, and this is my story. And going back to talking about the World Wide Web with my son and how it could be he was just trying to give you an example about something that he was researching yesterday about some animal that he wanted to know something specific about this animal's claws or something. So he's looking it up. I'm right there. He's Googling it, and then he asked to watch a video that was there. Okay, great. But then you know how YouTube goes. So you start it, and then another video loads, and then more, and then more, and then more, and then there you go, down the rabbit hole. But I'd stop and pause it. But there will be a time he'll challenge me. I know that. I just hope I will equip him with the knowledge, again, to know when to ask for help and or come to us for questions and concerns of curiosity when it does get weird. Because unfortunately, it always just gets weird, doesn't it, y'all? Yeah. So, double-edged sword. Knowledge is power. I've always said that. But is knowledge also something that's crippling? I wonder what y'all feel and how you guys will answer that question. Is it good or bad? I'll put a poll up. I have been a few times. I've put a poll up on my podcast. I hope you can answer and let me know what you think. And with that, y'all, I bid y'all farewell. This is Amber Vargas, founder of Girl Pursuit. On to the next episode. Take care, y'all.